Hey guys, and welcome to another guide for a Season 6 League of Legends champion. And in today's guide I'm going to talk about Bard. Now Bard is a fantastic mobile champion in the support role, and I'm going to explain to you in this guide today how he can influence your game and probably benefit it as well. I'm going to go over his skills and how to get the full potential out of his kit, because his kit is very unique. It's very unique compared to the other supports in the game. He requires a little bit more knowledge, in my opinion, to play efficiently and to play a certain standard. So I'm going to go over that just now. I'm going to talk about his skills and the way that you can use them to influence the game. His passive is Traveller's Call. Bard's presence causes magical chimes to appear on the map, which grant Bard experience, mana and a burst of speed. Additionally, lesser spirits follow Bard and aid his attacks. Collecting chimes causes these meeps to gain power over the course of the game. So this is basically little question marks all over the map. They appear as little blue crystals, and they do have a certain time before they disappear and they turn red and go away. Although it's very good to remind yourself when to roam to collect these. I mean, you're not going to roam if your ADC is 0 and 3 and is 40 CS at 20 minutes and stuff like that. You're not going to roam, but it's key to get your lane ahead so that you can make the full potential of his passive and collect those chimes that benefit your auto attacks. Will they become empowered by these meeps? So his Q is Cosmic Binding. Bard fires a missile which will slow the first enemy struck and continue onward. If it strikes a wall, it will stun the initial target. If it strikes another enemy, it will stun them both. So it's a chain CC, and it's very key to your positioning and how this Q turns out. It can obviously it's really good for the initial slow, but it's even better if you can position Bard so that you get that chain CC. It makes you look a better player, and it makes the playing potential of kills even more of a beneficiary to the rest of your team. His W is Caretaker's Shrine. This is the sustain that you get. It reveals a healing shrine which powers up over a short time, disappearing after the first ally touches it. It also heals them as well. It heals anybody on your team, but it's good to remember to tell your ADC or whoever's gonna take it that you need to let the animation finish. So the longer it's on the map, it takes a couple seconds, maybe 3 or 4 seconds before it's truly complete, and on the point of completion it will heal them for a lot more than what it does if they take it as soon as it comes up. Then it won't heal them for the full potential in that. It's not as good as a Soraka or anything like that. It's just an added bonus to Bard's kit. It's not the main thing. E is Magical Journey. Now this is what makes a jungler's life even better for coming into lane. Bard opens a portal in nearby terrain. Allies and enemies alike can take a one-way trip through that terrain by moving into the portal. Now, as I said, it makes junglers' lives a hell of a lot easier to pull off ganks. That is, of course, if you are communicating with your team. If you're not communicating with your team, this spell is completely nullified, and there's no point in using it. If you're going to be an aggressive support, which you should be with Bard, and you should make the plays happen, your Magical Journey is for sure going to aid you in that a hell of a lot. You got to keep communicating with your team though. That's one thing you remember. R is Tempered Fate. Bard sends Spirit Energy Arc into a location, putting all champions, minions, monsters and turrets hit into stasis for a brief time. So this is the cream of the crop for Bard. This is what makes a good Bard player really, other than the macro plays that you can do with your original kit, your Q, W and E. R is basically how you can win team fights, how you can pull off a dive successfully. I mean, he's not an Alistar, but he can nullify the turret so it doesn't do any damage as long as you don't hit the champion as well. It's also good for keeping them in place so that you can get to the lane. Say your ADC is in trouble when you're collecting your chimes. You throw that over and make sure you're safe, that you can arrive in time and hopefully take away the threat. So the way that I would upgrade this, I'd probably start with my Q and walk around in the river at level 1 and see if I can get my Spell Thief's proc off. And then that gives you a bit of an advantage going into lane, of course. And then I'll take W and then E, and then you'd max your R, any potential chance you get to upgrade it. That's the most important thing. So that is his skills. His kit is very unique, like I said, but once you have a couple of games as Bard, you should know it off by heart, and you should know the plays that you can make and the plays that you can't make, of course. His runes Now his runes are very flexible. I like to take 9 Mark of Magic Pen reds, 9 Seals of Armour yellows, 9 Magic Resist blues, and 3 Quintessences of Armour. These of course can be swapped out at any time. You can swap your Magic Pen for Hybrid Pen, that works as well on Bard. You can also take the Quints of Armour, and you can even go further onto his passive, and you can put movement speed in there as well to make him even quicker at the start of the game. So you're collecting those chimes really quickly. That is solely purpose of initiating his passive, is just to get around the map. It's great for ganking, great for getting to other lanes, but if you put the movement speed in there as well, it should be just as great. But that page there is more of a skirmishing page, but it's totally up to yourself. You know, experiment, that's what the rune pages are for. So his masteries are 0, 18 and 12. Now I take the 18 because I love the Thunderlord's Decree on my short range supports, such as Thresh. I took it in my Thresh guide and it works wonders as well. Although you can go a more defensive build, I like to go aggressive with Bard because he is a playmaking champion. So in Cunning I go Bandit. This is 1 gold for each nearby minion killed, gain 3 gold when hitting an enemy as well, and plus you have your spell thieves on top of that, so you're making a good chunky gold there. Intelligence cooldown reduction cap to 45%, you gain 5% cooldown at the start of the game, self-explanatory. Get your Qs off more, you know, that's all you really need it for. You're never going to cap that out. You'll probably end up with maybe 25%, 30% cooldown reduction, depending on your build. Of course, Thunderlord's Decree, 3rd attack or damage is spell against the same enemy champion, calls down a lightning strike, does magic damage to the surrounding area based off your 30% bonus attack damage and 10% of your ability power. Now, that's basically, I've explained it so many times in my guides, but Thunderlord's Decree at the minute is perfect for AP, short AP range champions. I can't stress that enough. It's really good on Bard that I've found, because you also have the empowered auto attacks as well, with your Meeps, your passive kicks in with that as well, and it does more damage. And in Resolve, I end on Insight. It reduces the cooldown of your summoner spells by 15%. Like Alistair, you need Flash on Bard. He's good for a Flash Q and lock them in, or lock them against the and let the rest of your team go up. But it's imperative to know when to use your flash, because that's what makes a good Bard player. In fact, knowing when to use your flash makes a really good support player in general, so keep that in mind. So his build now, so that was his masteries, his runes and his skills. This is now his build. His build is fairly straightforward to begin with. I like to go for the Frost Queens. I don't like the Sightstone upgrade on Bard. I prefer the Frost Queens, to be honest. The Spooky Ghost active is pretty cool for engaging and disengaging as well, and you're a catch champion as well, so you want to probably stick with that. Although it's up to you, whatever builds you want to do, both of them are very viable. Of course, it's just my preference. And then you go Sightstone, depending on what you get there. Your boots can come at any time. It can come at 5 minutes, it can come at 3 minutes, depends if you took the movement speed, and also, you know, you're going to collect your chimes anyway. You're not going to be struggling for boots to go and gank a lane. You can initiate your passive and then go through your jungle with no problem. And for defensive, now Deadman's Plate is very, very good on Bard, because then again it's all about the movement speed with him. It's all about how mobile this champion is. If you want to influence that even more, Deadman's Plate is a for sure pickup. You get the armor and you get the health, and it's pretty much a different Randuin's Omen without, you know, the slow active for Randuins. Instead you get the movement buff from Deadman's. Banshee's Veil, a little bit selfish. You know what that does, is basically to keep you safe from hooks and stuff. Frozen Heart again is good if you're against an all AD comp. Randuin's Omen, like I said, is a perfect item for any support. Locket of Iron Solari, AP bursty champion, get this on your support as soon as possible. Zz'Rot for pushing the sideways without even being there. Spirit Visage gives you the cooldown, and also it gives you the magic resist and the health. Zeke's Harbinger, probably stick that on your Jannas, your Sorakas, but it's also viable on Bard. However, there's much more influential items beforehand. Mikaels Crucible if you've got like a Kog'Maw who has to stand still and get off his attacks rather than them getting locked down. If you want to go aggressive on Bard, I mean, it depends on the runes that you take. If you take AP and stuff like that, it can be viable too, but you're not looking to do a lot of AP damage, so I'd probably talk against that. But however, Banner of the Command is an item that you should probably take on Bard. It's great for sieging, it's great for pushing a lane and giving yourself an empowered minion, an empowered siege cannon. It makes it harder for the enemy team to deal with, especially if they're heavy AP. Iceborn Gauntlet I probably wouldn't take. Its AoE is pretty good, but then I'd probably pay the extra 500 to get the Rylai's Crystal Scepter. You know, think it's much better item, especially on an AP champion as a support. But I probably wouldn't buy it. I'd probably just stick to the defensive stats of Bard. Abyssal Scepter, I mean, your mid laner will probably pick that up, but again, it is viable on Bard. However, it totally depends on you and what type of player you want to be. If you want to be adventurous and experiment with the different things that you can take, he's a very flexible champion in that sense. So that was my Bard guide. I mean, he's a perfect champion for people who want to step it up a level and probably take it into rank. You take this a lot into rank and you probably get really good results. It's all about that tempered fate. If you can land a really good tempered fate, it can turn the fight. It can turn any fight. So once again, this has been my Bard guide, guys. I hope it's encouraged you to play him. He's a fantastic support, and I shall see you in the next one.